Hey, this is Jess from Unboxing Data. Today we're going to talk about analyzing your data. In the last video, what we did is we exported the data. I showed you how to do that from Spotify and access that. And then we had a bit of a quick look at the kind of files that are in the actual package that they send you and how long that takes, and kind of ran you through the process that they make you go through to export your data. If you haven't seen that video yet, go and take a look and then come back here. So before I move on, I'd just like to mention the two sponsors today. The first one is Young Women Leaders in AI. They're a really great community group. If you're interested in just technology in general, head over there to the Young Women Leaders in AI website. Sign yourselves up for our bootcamp because we run through some really great content like the ethics of AI, learning how to build machine learning, the different tools and stuff that you can use. So that's the Young Women Leaders in AI. Give them a look up on Google. The other sponsor for today is Observer. Observer is a data management software company. We work with mining and oil and gas companies, but I thought I'd give them a shout out because they provide all the equipment, because that's where I work. Because what we'll do today is we'll actually take that data and open all those files and have a bit of a dig around, try and understand, what all of the parameters are in those files, and look at and think about how they might actually use that, or how we might use it to visualize and understand a bit more about my listening habits as a example. What you'll see here, like the first thing that I usually start looking for is what are these files? What kind of things am I looking at? And search queries, I don't think this isn't going to be useful because it's like nothing. Same thing with this. Kids account, don't have kids, so don't need that. The main ones it looks like here is the streaming history. And also that your library thing as well, and the playlist. So I'll have to have a look at what those are. I don't know what's in there right now, but obviously there's a read me first thing, so I may as well read that. So if I open this, read me first, right? Thanks for using download your data. Oh, thanks. This looks like it's in a heap of languages. So this might be helpful. So it's understanding my data. This is actually quite helpful. And then nothing else is important there. So if I click on that, it will take me to this page. And it actually, this is the first time I've seen something like this. Usually they're just like, here's your data. Good luck, have fun. But this actually breaks down all of the kind of things that you'll find in each kind of file, so to speak. So I was just talking about the playlist one before, so that should marry up to this one here, playlist one, and then so forth. Streaming history. There's a couple of different files there. Streaming history, library is that one there, and search queries and stuff like that. So once I actually open it, it'll be easy to actually understand why they've done that. But another thing to note is the kind of file type that it's in. So for me, this is great. Like, I use JSON all the time for work and that kind of thing, so I understand this. But you will have to note is that it is code. Like, it is not just it's not a CS, like an Excel file or something like that people might be used to seeing, or a text file or anything like that. I think with some other platforms they do put it to CSV. So just something to note there. I find this pretty easy to look at, so I think it's great. So what I'll do is, so we've got all of these ones here. I've actually already opened a couple of them, so I'll just jump in and show you what it looks like and explain what playlist one is, what streaming history is, insofar as the data that they've collected about me. So if you click on these files, the thing to note is that you will need something to download it with. Like, usually it won't just open on your computer. You actually need a kind of, like, I have Visual Studio Code, and this is just a free software that you can download to open code packages and stuff like that. So this is the kind of tool that it is. It's usually for developers and stuff like that. So it is a bit different. So it's kind of like maybe where somebody with less experience in code might get a little bit stuck is that, well, shit, I can't open it because it's not in a, I don't have a tool that actually supports these files and stuff like that. But never fear, Jess is here. What we have here is just a Visual Studio Code. You can actually just download it for free if you're really interested. So that's Visual Studio Code there. It's just, and it's free. Like, that's why I use it. I only use it because it's free, and I look at this stuff a fair bit for work. So what you'll see here is, so I've just jumped into Visual Studio Code, and what I've done is I've opened Streaming History 0. So this is one of the files, and what you can immediately see is that I listened to a lot of Troye Sivan, at least on the 14th of the 11th, 2018. So this is what I find interesting is this is only like what governs the start date of the data. And I don't know. I don't know the answer to this question, but it's interesting that it's like the 11th of the 14th of November 2018. So this must be just when Spotify, had the capability to export their data. I think it came in earlier that year. So, like, let me check when GDPR came into come into effect. So May 25th, 2018. So this is a bit more about GDPR and that kind of thing. But yeah, so basically, like, I would expect there to be more data than November, but nothing wrong with that, I guess. Like, I don't mind that it's, not May 25th, but that's kind of one of the things I was just like, interesting. So aside from the fact that I was listening to a lot of Troye at that point in time, what we can also see is the kind of things that they're collecting. So what you might notice are a JSON code kind of little intro is that each one of these kind of curly brackets denotes like a bit of data, and or at least a packet of data, I guess. So each one of them will have an end time, an artist name, and the track name. And so I wasn't sure about this MS played. I was just like, why is it such a big number? I don't get that. Like, if it was like how many times I played it, that's like ridiculous amount of times. But it's not actually how many times I played it, it's how many milliseconds I played it for. So where this is helpful is this understanding my data thing. So if I go back up here, understanding my data kind of actually says, here we go, streaming history. So this is the file that I downloaded. Date and time when the stream ended in UTC format. So UTC is like not Australian time. This is, basically on the other side of the world time. So if I want Brisbane time, then I plus 10 hours to the time in the JSON code. Name of the creator, i.e. the artist name. We also have the name of items listened to, so the music track name, and the MS play is how many milliseconds. How many milliseconds the track was listened to for. So important note, because they kind of, code people, they like to make acronyms or just like make everything shorter because they're really lazy. So that's what that stands for. That was probably one of the most pertinent discoveries I made about this, was like, well, what the hell does MS played stand for? So that's what that is. That kind of governs in here. So the other thing I was really interested to know is that, like, when does this end? Like, what's at the bottom? Because this is a date time range, right? So I need to understand Like, I'm expecting it to be from May 25th to now, which is 16th of November 2019. But what you can see here is that I've just gone to the last entry of this file, and it's only like the 2nd of April. So like, where's the rest of the data? And what I think has happened here is that, you know, computers or, you know, Spotify can only send a certain size of data. They have to break it down so that it's so that they can send it to us. So what that means is that that's why there's streaming history 0, streaming history 1, and streaming history 2. So if I go to streaming history 1, the very top entry should be, you know, sometime in April. And that's pretty much what it is. And that's when I started listening to Sticky Fingers. So that's basically, you kind of go down to the end again, and this was August, and then pick it up in the last one, and this is August 1975. I didn't listen to that. But then I go to, like, so let's see when the last time they got data from me. So this is the 14th. So this is actually, if you see here, so saying that, Jess, why are you listening to Destiny's Child Survivor at 10 p.m. at night, well, nearly 11 p.m. at night? So remember that this is actually in UTC, and I need to add 10 hours. So this is actually this will be the 15th at 10 a.m. So I just plus 10 hours, and that means like when I was at work and was listening to like I Am a Survivor kind of playlist. So that's why I was listening to Destiny's Child then, because it was Friday and I needed help. So that is why, and that's how this kind of data works. So that was the streaming history. So that's kind of just like, these are all the songs that you've ever listened to, which is kind of cool. It was also interesting that like they have this MS played, because this is definitely how they would, like, this would be a key for them to say, all right, what is Jess's favorite song? So when they do, you know, your year of songs, you know, your most listened to songs, this is the number that it would be. It would be, all right, give me all of the songs, group them, and then say, you know, who has the highest number, or who, like, which group of 10 has the highest numbers. And that's the kind of thing you can start doing, you know, with Power BI. So what I'll show you in a bit is how to use Power BI to start playing around with some data. So the other thing I will show you is, I won't actually go into my user data because that's confidential, but this is where this is really helpful, is like, it shows you, well, your username, email address, country, if it's created from Facebook, preferred locale, date of birth, gender. So this is all like where I live and stuff, so nobody needs to know that. Anyway, it's not that interesting. It's just my identity, I guess. So that's the user data. Now, the other ones that are kind of semi-interesting but not really that interesting, I like the streaming history stuff the most, is the playlist data. Moving on, the other interesting one is searches made. So this is you know, going to that search page and Googling for something or looking for a song and that kind of thing. And that's really important for them. They want to know what you're looking for. Did you actually find what you were looking for? Did you click on what you were looking for? Did you end up listening to it? So if you go to the search queries, is this one here. What the data that they collect is the stuff I've highlighted here. So this is not a good example. If I go to the very bottom, I'll find something a bit more front of mind for myself. So I think I was just looking at, so, oh yeah, here we go. We'll just start with the bottom ones. So what you can see is the date, which is all well and good. The platform, so I use an Android phone. Country, I'm Australian, so duh. Termination reason, I think that just means, I'm pretty sure that's just oh, they left the search query because I clicked on something, I interacted. So they don't actually explain it in here what action, like the list of actions that happen. They don't have a full list. They just say what it is. They say what action resulted. So timeout, another interaction, etc. So it's kind of basic. So I don't know, interaction just must mean I clicked on something. How long? So this is again ms duration. So ms, now we know that it stands for milliseconds. So milliseconds of duration. So how long was I on that search for? The type query. So this is what I actually put in. So my MI, and you know, like they always auto populate with the things that are, you know, related to that search. So as you can see, all of these type queries are only like half what I was looking for anyway. Then that so for this one, I do know what this is. This is like short for My Millennial Money. So this is like a money podcast that I listen to. It's really helpful. Would recommend. And there's also FKA Twigs. That's an artist. Some Angie. And there's also like She's on the Money. I think we can see here that there's a couple of times where I'm searching for this She's on the Money one because I wasn't sure what I was looking for, what podcast I was supposed to be clicking on. So I just was clicking around quite a few times. So that kind of gives you a down low on what this means here. So user intent is navigate forward. So I think this means, yeah, I clicked. They always like to use cool, you know, very like literal names on what you're doing. So navigate forward. So these are all interactions. Navigate forward, play. So this song I must have just like actually clicked to play the song that came up in the search. Same thing, navigate forward, or there's play, or yeah. So that's a couple of options, and then there's also the nav back up the toolbar button, which is probably just their fancy way of saying I clicked back. I didn't actually want to do that. So that's kind of like the data that you're looking at with Spotify. It's actually kind of useful. At least I would say that the streaming history and search queries are useful. Not so much sure about some of the other ones, but what I'll do now is I'll show you how to actually start doing stuff with this, because it's all well and good at looking at it and saying, oh, this is what it is that you actually want to see what they would do with it. So that's it for today. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Give me some really great feedback on what you think.